Hello, I'm Jamie.
Hello, I'm Mark, and it's time for another episode of Through the Garden Gate. Hello, Instagram.
Hello.
It's Tuesday night.
7:30, it's time for another episode of Through the Garden Gate.
Wave to Mummy because Mummy's in.
Hello, Mummy.
Let's see if we can get Jamie in.
Hello.
No pub tonight.
Nope.
Had too much over the last 4 days. You can't go on holiday without having a beer.
Of course you do, because you're Jamie and you like alcohol.
You've been drinking lots of cider down in Somerset.
I have been trying some cider. I've got coffee today.
Oh, nice.
Yes, I have had a few tastes of some different ciders. He is cheeky, isn't he, Steph? Yeah.
Cheeky.
I'm not.
Oh, look, Teresa's watching. She'll have a beer on my behalf.
Maybe.
That's Teresa, the racetrack to hack one. She's going to have a beer on my behalf.
Oh, good. Well, Teresa.
She can drink better than I can. Hello, George.
Yep.
All right?
Yep. Last day until school.
Oh, no. School tomorrow.
Yep.
How do you feel about that?
I'm okay about it. A little bit annoyed that it's the end of the summer holidays, but I'm happy.
Has it gone quick?
Well, it feels like it has.
It always did. I can remember.
Pleased to see your friends, though.
I remember when we were doing one just for the start of the summer.
Yeah.
It seems like a day ago.
Not 6 weeks.
You've had a birthday. I've had a birthday. We've been on holiday. We've done lots.
Yeah. It's all gone a bit mad in your house.
Yep. Busy old time, isn't it?
Dash has had a haircut.
Roland's had a haircut.
Roland, sorry. I always get
Both of them. They're both
Oh, both? Oh, have they? Oh.
They're both tidy now.
Jamie, with my money from the gift voucher, I bought this.
Bring it in a bit. Show me.
Paddington, Tony.
Paddington?
Yep. The second one. And also a joke every day.
So it's like a podcast for kids.
Yep.
Ah.
So what these are is that he's got a little box which has got a speaker on the front of it, and you put these on top and they'll tell you a story.
Oh.
And then they'll do a joke every day.
And then this one's a podcast that's every day, and then this one is one of the Paddington books.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I've got loads of Tonys. I have about 65, I think, now.
Wow. Oh, brilliant.
One of
They
your
used-
favourite things.
I used to have something like that when I was a kid. Used to put it in and press play, and it was a little cassette that went round and round and round.
I thought you were going to say records.
No! We did have records, actually.
Not that old.
No. Might look at it
Paddington
right bit.
film.
Yeah, there's a new Paddington film coming out.
Oh, that'd be good.
Third one.
Yeah, the third one, Paddington in Peru.
Mm.
And back home.
Sounds good to me.
I wonder if he's going to see his Aunt Lucy.
Maybe.
I've seen the trailer of it, and he has to take a photo on his passport, and he goes like, and it says hats are not allowed in the aeroplane. He went,
He's always got his hat on.
Not Paddington with that hat.
no, they weren't allowed him on the plane, but he put him in his suitcase. And then he came up to the camera and did. It's so funny.
Well, you have to go and watch it when it comes out then.
Yeah. It's in cinemas on November the 7th.
Wow.
There you go. Paddington knowledge.
Dad, I saw an advert about it and it said the 7th of November it's coming out.
Hey, Chris, you should get paid for that, shouldn't you? Advertising it.
We'll have to put an ad gifted label on the sponsored by Paddington 3.
Give George £100 every podcast.
Give me
yeah.
Yeah. 10 episodes in and then you'll get £1,000.
Yep. Good working out there. Right, you're going to go for your bath then?
Yeah.
See you in the morning.
I'll remember to take the electric.
All right, George. Have a good day tomorrow.
Okay, I'll try.
Bye.
Bye.
It's cracking. Does he enjoy school?
Depends what mood he's in. I think he likes the routine of it, but some days are tricky. I think it'll be tricky getting back into a
I bet.
routine of it all again,
and
being in a new classroom and a new teacher.
Yeah, I suppose it's all a bit overwhelming, isn't it?
And he'll be like doing practice SATs and stuff, I imagine, in year 5.
Oh, God, yeah.
That's to get scary.
Definitely.
So what have you been up to then?
Cool.
You've been busy.
On Friday morning, I drove for 6 hours.
Wow.
6 hours. The sat-nav said it was going to take 4.5, but it was 6 hours. Absolutely horrendous.
All the way around the M25.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, God.
Yeah,
That was 4 hours of it.
It weren't as bad as I thought, to be honest. But yeah, 6 hours. We went down to Somerset. And the first night we pulled up because we took our motorhome. We pulled up in because a lot of pubs have fields at the back where you can go and park up. So Teresa booked 3 or 4 different ones, and we pulled up into the first one, and it said beer festival on tonight. We went, we didn't even know it's happening. Yeah, so we had a nice night that night, and then the next morning I went to Homemakers and had a fantastic day with Charles Dowding. Absolutely amazing.
Amazing. Photos looked awesome.
Real good day. I'm not plugging him or anything, but just if you can, just go. And it's a few quid, but just if you can go, it's a brilliant day. Absolutely brilliant. And I went, and Gaz Oakley was there. Had you heard of Gaz Oakley?
I don't think I had, to be honest.
So he is a chef.
Yeah.
But he's turned to our side of growing everything. So he's completely plant-based, has no meat, no anything. But so he's turned to growing and cooking his own stuff.
Yeah.
So half of the day was with Charles around the garden. He was telling us all about. It wasn't just about no dig. It was about everything. And the other half was Gaz Oakley telling us about fermentation and showing us all that, which was absolutely brilliant.
Well, that was amazing, because that's a subject I really want to learn more about, preserving stuff as well, because that's half the battle, isn't it? If you grow a lot of stuff, you've always got gluts.
Exactly.
So if you don't save it, you're wasting most of your produce anyway. You never keep up.
Some of the things that he had, he handed round for us to taste were just, oh my God, mind blowing. How can you get the flavour from some tomatoes which have been pickled for 3 weeks? You think, oh, absolutely fantastic. Yeah, Gaz has got a great YouTube channel. He's got a few subscribers, 1.6 million.
Just a handful.
1.2 on Instagram. So yeah, he's well known and well liked. So yeah, just go and have a look at him. He's brilliant. And also, of course, Charles himself. He's such a lovely man as well. It's ridiculous. So nice.
He's so sort of calm and level. Like, he doesn't sound like he ever gets stressed.
No.
He's just always constant.
And I saw a slightly different side to him, not just the garden side. He's quite into, power and magnetic and, all that
Yeah.
calming and bringing energy into the garden and things. And he didn't really see none of that on his videos or on his books things, but you can see it. He's got all these things placed around the garden, which are supposed to bring energy into the garden and things. So, yeah, that was really interesting as well. Very interesting.
Sounds it.
Yeah, it was good. It was good. I got his new book. I shouldn't have, but I got it. It don't come out for another 3 days. But he said, don't tell anybody, but you can have it.
Nice. What's that about?
That's composting.
Compost.
Yeah. Which he's an absolute god at. I just don't know how he does it. He can turn 3 pallet bay pallets, turn them around in 6 months. And he comes up with this black gold. It's absolutely amazing stuff. You think, what? How? We try and try and try, but it never happens. Mine always ends up with sloppy mess.
Well, he's got, his compost bins are like, amazing with roofs and so well built. They're, the envy of all composters, those compost bins.
Well, he's got the ones with the roofs that you see, but he also has down the back, he has this literally 3 pallet bays, next to each other, which he turns one into the other, like everybody else does, but he just gets it absolutely right every time.
It is a science. Once you've got that knack, it's, you're onto a winner, because compost is gold to all gardeners.
Oh, it is.
You've got your own supply, and it's the best stuff for your garden, because it's from your garden. So you're constantly feeding it the biotic from your own garden.
Exactly. He was saying a lot about that. He's saying everything that's goes through his garden goes back into it, and that is a big thing.
So you're not really taking too much away, and if you're adding manure or whatever,
never throws anything away. That's the thing.
No.
I think it's really something I want to get into properly.
Yeah.
Maybe start next year and do it properly, because I've got my bays, but I just don't get into it enough.
No, it's good. I use a lot of my own compost, not 100%, but I do. I make at least a bay's worth a year. And at work, we've got massive bays that are size of, you could park a car in the compost bays at work. They're huge, and we've got 4 of those. So I've always got at least 1 full bay of compost at all times that we use for potting on and stuff.
What do you put in them then?
Just everything: weeds, grass, anything.
Everything from work?
Yeah, everything from work. Not really much veg, really, because the owners don't really eat a lot of veg from the garden, and I think they put a lot of their veg peeling straight in the black bin. You try and educate people, but they don't want a messy bucket or anything outside the front door.
Yeah.
So
it's just easy, isn't it?
Yeah, but yeah. At home, I put all veg scraps in. Like anything that we use at home goes back in the compost bin. If we get the stalks and whatever we don't use.
I said to him about, because I've got my bokashi bins in there, and I said to him, "Do you do bokashi?" And he said, "No, don't bother. I'll just put it straight in."
Well, the problem with bokashi that I found, because I did do it for a year, is buying the bran and remembering to do the bran, and it just feels like another process. I mean, it's probably brilliant if you haven't got the space for a proper compost bin, but all I was doing was doing all the layers of the bran, and then it was and then putting it straight in my compost bin again. So it was almost adding another layer.
Yeah, but that's what I mean. And what I meant was about your cooked foods.
Yeah.
And he said they go in. He doesn't not meats and things, but even for lunch we had, there was a French bean salad and things. It was all cooked, but that went in. After we saw it in the compostable cardboard bowls and things, went in the pot. Okay. So he's not too fussed. A lot of things people were saying, he's going, nah, load of rubbish, don't believe it, just do it. Grass trimmings, everyone's saying, oh, you can't put grass trimmings, and you can, just don't put them in too thicker layers, which once you've heard it, it's quite obvious, isn't it? Don't put 8 inches of grass in.
And grass is the one thing that makes it really slimy, because it just turns mush.
Yeah, because
and it really heats up fast.
because it goes anaerobic, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And with a normal compost, you want it to be aerobic to get as much air in there. And he turns it once. He don't turn it over and over again. He turns it once halfway through, and that's it.
That's all I do. Once my compost bays are full, I just turn it into the next one, and then the top layer will be ready. And then as you use it, the bottom layer just finishes composting. Yeah, he is rather brilliant.
Yeah,
man.
yeah, I do. Yeah, he is a fantastic bloke. Really is. He knows what he's on about. And you've been to Audley End on Sunday.
Yeah,
That looked like fun.
Yeah, it was another one of those. You turn up at 10 o'clock in the morning, and then you blink, and it's 5 o'clock in the afternoon. You're like, "Where's the time gone?"
Yeah,
they're kicking you out. Because I did a build a bug house with Adam, view from the potted bench, which was fun, and then Chris did the same, but later on in the day. And I went off and had a look around the walled garden. But the walled garden was so hot, it was unbearable in there. I literally had to walk around and then was out because it must have been 30 degrees. It was absolutely baking.
I remember I went around there last year. It was brilliant, lovely walled garden. They
didn't have half the amount of squash that they did last year, though. They didn't have a big arch or anything this year. They only had a few squash in the middle beds near the apples. So it wasn't quite as impressive this year. But it's still a beautiful walled garden.
Yeah,
it's still absolutely ram full of all sorts of stuff. But yeah, it's a beautiful location. I think it's probably my favourite Gardener's World show, actually. It's just nice and chilled out.
It is nice,
spaced out. A really nice location as well, with that backdrop of the hall. David
it's fantastic.
Orion's garden was brilliant. Really, really good.
Yeah, it looked fantastic.
And I think a lot of people were enjoying his garden because he had so many different ideas in there, and having a compost bin in there as well, which is always a really good idea.
I didn't see that.
Yeah, so you had veggies, you had quite exotic plants with bananas and stuff like that. So as you went around it, there was different elements to the garden. When I spoke to him, he said it was, show gardens are about giving people ideas, not something you can pick up and put somewhere. So that's what he was going for. And he had like succulents at the back of it as well. So he didn't have a full sleeper thing all the way around. He had like pots of succulents stacked up, which looked really cool.
I've seen it on a couple of reels. And it had some...
The dahlias were fantastic.
Oh, but yeah, they were absolutely amazing. Of course they were. But he had Gabby in baskets as well, didn't he, around the back?
Yeah.
I saw that. And then some funny pot things. They were really nice. Little triangle black and white things, I think.
Yeah, it was all really good. And there was loads of other gardens that were really nice as well. Not a huge amount, not anything to the scale of the ones at the NEC, but, just like the beautiful border-sized ones.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just a nice chilled out vibe. Nice.
Is that your mum just said, even though it was the autumn one?
Yeah, I mean, it's called autumn, isn't it? But it's not autumn yet.
No. I think we've still got to get some heat yet.
Well, I mean, all the, there was still astrantias, there was dahlias, it's very similar plants to what were at Gardeners World Live at the NEC. So it's not like it's dramatically different. No. It would be quite interesting to do an autumn one. Do it in October or something.
Yeah, that would have to be completely different then, wouldn't it?
You'd have a lot of asters and grasses and more evergreeny.
Yeah, that would be completely different.
Yeah, but there's some really, really cool gardens actually. Some interesting ideas. And the workshop things were all good. Nice that people would put the effort on to put those on. Kim
done her flowers again.
Busy little bee, and Adam running around giving talks here, there, and everywhere.
Yeah, it's nice. I like to see it. Everybody busy. It's good, isn't it?
Yeah, it's nice to see people that you've sort of watched from, starting their garden media journey, and now they're, regulars at BBC Gardeners World shows, which is really nice to see.
Yeah, it is. talking about people doing lovely things.
Yeah.
Something's happening next Saturday, I believe, isn't it?
Yes, a few fellow Instagrammers are climbing up a rather large mountain.
Bunch of fools.
And one of the fools has even said he's going to do it twice if they raise enough money.
Yeah.
So I think Ben's probably now hoping that they don't get to £5,000.
No.
Can you even do it twice in a day?
I had a quick look, and I think there's several routes, aren't there? I'm sure one's 4 hours, and they go up to about 7 hours. So I guess there must be different windy ones or different routes. So I suppose if he does the 4 hour one, but that's a bloody long way.
It is.
Good on him.
Blooming big mountain.
Good on him. Yeah, so you can go and donate on their. I guess they've got
profiles
on all their profiles and their bios. They'll be just given pages, so you can go and donate to the Bearded Growers Foundation, which is fantastic.
Also, there's schools in their area.
The school, getting the kids gardening, which we all need to do.
Yeah, so I think there's Skinny Jean Gardener, there's Plot 27, Ben, there's Our Daily Home, there's Kerry, Lottie Time, there's the Veg Grower Podcast, Rich, going up.
Yeah.
What's the other? It's Tori, another person, and Jen that we had on the podcast, Life on the Lot.
Yeah.
I think that's everyone. Yeah. I've probably forgot somebody, but yeah, they're all doing a brilliant thing.
So I'm sure on Saturday there'll be lots of stories and lives and things, so we can all follow how they're doing.
I'm sure it'll be lots of laughs.
Yeah. Talking about mountains, I climbed Cheddar Gorge, and that was enough. Oh my God.
Well, brilliant.
That was horrendous.
How do you get? Do you start at the bottom and walk up? Or go down and then back out?
We started at the bottom and walked all the way up, and then sat and composed myself for about half an hour, and then we walked back down again.
Yeah.
But yeah, so
it's rather large. That you don't realise how deep that is.
It is huge. It is really, really deep. Yeah. Hi Kim, you ain't really missed much. Just been talking about your dailies at Audley End and how amazing they were. I didn't do Jacob's Ladder. No, I couldn't be bothered to go up Jacob's Ladder. Right, there she is. Let's get her in. Our guest. She's sitting there patiently.
Rabbit on. So tonight's guest, we had the pleasure of meeting at Hampden Court Flower Festival. She is a hobby gardener and has written for the Garden Folk magazine. Growing in a rented property, a former allotmenteer, and a trainee accountant by day. It is the wonderful Amy West, Amy's Allotment Adventure. Get her in.
Oh God, Jenny Wren nearly fell off Cheddar Gorge. You don't want to do that.
Do that.
You got your camera the wrong way around, Amy.
Oh yeah.
I've never done this before, so.
We have, but you wouldn't think so. How you doing? You all right?
Yeah, not too bad. You?
Yeah, not too bad. You're in your greenhouse.
Yeah, well, I've had to put the light on because it's all gone dark outside again.
It's terrible. It's terrible, isn't it? It's just disappearing. It's not even 8 o'clock now. Look at it.
I know.
I don't like it.
We've had stormy weather for the last hour. So.
Have you?
Joyce.
So,
yeah.
So where are you?
I'm in Halesworth in Suffolk.
So that might be coming my way then.
I think it's come up from the south. But yeah, it was quite entertaining seeing a twister form above my house.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I went out the door because I go to Slim World on a Tuesday, and as I looked up, it was literally forming in the centre of my close. And then Jeff, who runs Brimwood Farm Instagram, he managed to take a picture of it from the side, from the edge of town, and it definitely was a funnel forming, but it never hit the ground. But by the time I'd driven into town, because there was no way I was going to walk in that rain, there was no rain in town. A mile down the road, there was no rain.
Really regional. How bizarre.
Mental.
Yeah.
Absolutely mental.
So
Did Mark just say... Sorry, go on.
I was going to say that was an entertaining way to come home from work today.
Yeah.
Brilliant. You don't see them every day, do you?
No.
We don't want to either.
Yeah, so did Mark just say former allotment here?
Yes. Well, sort of.
Go on then.
So well, when I lived in Shotley, I had an allotment for 4 years, and this is where Amy's allotment adventure started. And then we moved from Shotley to Hoseley, and the allotments there were over 50 quid a year, and I couldn't justify that. So then I started doing what I call the garden allotment, and then we moved to Halesworth, and I've put another garden allotment in. But this year I've been helping out someone in town who's got an allotment, so I've been helping her get to grips with her allotment, doing a lot of methods like putting the cardboard down, suffocate the weeds and stuff, because it got a bit overgrown. So I'm helping out on a friend's allotment now, but I now have what I call the garden allotment. But it started in Shotley. One of my neighbours.
Go on.
So yeah, one of my neighbours, I'd literally moved in. I'd been in 2 days, and one of the neighbours was like, "Oh, you should get an allotment," and that was the end of that. It was £7.50 a year, and it'd been freshly ploughed. Was outside the back gate, and it started off with a half plot, which I think is bigger than most full-size plots in a town. And then I took on the half plot next door, and it kind of escalated for 4 years. But because it'd been freshly ploughed, I marked out, I sort of like shuffled with my feet like this, and made paths. And then there was an old shed at the base of the allotments ready for a burn pile, and I used that to create bed edges. And I got some grits. Do you remember the hardware in grass seed you used to get in Wilco's that was really good?
Right, yeah.
I used that to grass my paths. I rescued a rhubarb crown from the burn pile, which is actually here with me. It's moved house with me. It didn't like being in a pot for a year, but it survived, and now it's massive. So yeah, that moved house with me. And then one of the neighbours was getting rid of a gooseberry bush, so I put that in there. So when I first started, I had next to no money to do it, so I did what I could to recover things from burn piles on the allotments. And I was like, is this going free, or is this going to the dump? Someone else's allotment shut down, and I gained a greenhouse. Which, do you remember those? We had 4 weeks of storms in February many years ago before COVID, and we had every weekend we had a different storm. That greenhouse popped 4 times. And I actually ended up driving all the way to Hoseley to get some secondhand glass, and then ended up with them being one of my neighbours later on in life.
Oh, brilliant.
Suffolk is a very small place.
So when your neighbour said to you need to get allotment, what experience did you have?
None
whatsoever.
So,
and then you went and just got a full size allotment.
So before we left Ipswich to move to Shotley, I was looking at possibly doing one of the allotments in the centre of Ipswich, and I was thinking about it. And then we moved, and then she said, why don't you do it? It's £7.50. You're not going to lose a lot of money out of it. Give it a go. I was like, all right then. And I spent days and days and days out there, making paths, building beds, putting stuff in. And I got it in the September. So end of August, beginning of September. So I was doing stuff for the winter, getting beds ready, putting stuff up. And then by the December, I had chosen to take on the second half a plot, which they were massive. Like, I would say both of the half a plots were bigger than my back garden now.
Wow.
I had 6 foot square beds on, and then I had 3 6 foot by 10 foot beds on one part of my allotment without my greenhouse. I'd never done this before. And then because I was really getting into it, and then took on the second one, which again had been freshly ploughed. It was quite lucky that in Shotley the warden would plough the plots before you took them on.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, right, I'm going to put a fruit cage on this side and put another, I think, 4 foot by 10 foot beds. And at the back, I had a massive compost bin as well, or an array of compost bins, really. And I went to my father-in-law. I was like, "Have you got any tent poles?" He went, "Tent poles?" I was like, "Yeah." He said, "Probably." So he gave me like this bag of tent poles, and I created a fruit cage out of tent poles. So it looked like a tent. It was just a big dome. And I got some net reduced, and like a big bit of net off Amazon, and I covered it. And then I was like, I'm going to have to work out how to make a door here. Didn't think that far ahead. And then it was New Year's Eve, we moved the greenhouse from the plot who was getting rid of it to my plot. And then during Beasts from the East, it had no glass in it. So I've got pictures of my allotment under sort of like 1.5 foot of snow, because in Shotley we had the drifts as well. So Shotley got cut off for, I think it was 3 days, because the drifts were coming straight across the fields. And yeah, in that year, was that the first year? I think that I planted some Brussels sprouts out that year, and I managed to get some as well. Like at the September, one of the first things I planted in the ground, I got some plugs. For if I'm planting them in late, it doesn't matter if they sprout. And then 2018 was when I really got into it. So I went to worked in Ipswich, so I kept going to Wilco's to pick up seeds for 25p at the time, when there used to be 25p. That was my first year of ever successfully growing big Brussels sprouts, parsnips. I also did the proper fail. I spilt a whole packet of Little Gems on the ground in my greenhouse. Every single one sprouted, and I discovered I didn't like Little Gems. So I was there, and my neighbour thought it was hilarious. She came out one day to check on her chickens, and then she saw me like sort of 1 foot out of the greenhouse, 1 foot in the greenhouse, sitting on the floor pricking out all of these lettuces.
Brilliant.
Because I was like, I've got to get rid of them. I don't like them. So I was pricking them out, and I was giving them to people, because I was like, "Here, have some lettuces. Here, have some lettuces." But I grew that year my first pumpkins. I did sweet corn. I just threw everything in the ground that I could, because I didn't know what I wanted to grow and what I didn't. Yeah. And I'd been given some seeds by family. And then I discovered that I had to keep on mowing the lawn, so I got a push mower. And luckily, because it wasn't far from my house, I could water it with the hose. So your hose
pipe reached from your house to your allotment.
Yeah, so we put a 30-meter hose in the back garden that went to the gate, and then I connected it at the gate onto the reel, where I had a 60-meter hose, so I could water my allotment.
Nearly 100 meters of hose pipe together.
Yeah,
brilliant.
And then that was from one house, and then we moved next door, but 2 years later. So okay. I was even closer to my allotment.
Is that why you moved?
No. The landlord needed the house, so we moved next door, but one. And that move, when I started up with my qualifications as well, I let things get a bit overgrown. So every time I went out, it looked like organised chaos because I would mow the paths, but I'd have like 6 foot high poppies in the beds.
Yeah.
I think I went through every emotion possible on my allotments whilst I had them. And then I was thinking about giving it up and starting to do stuff in the garden because during COVID I had got a 8 foot by 6 foot greenhouse and I put it in the garden. So I started thinking about doing stuff in the garden because the allotment was taking up so much of my time. And I was trying to get my accountancy qualifications done, which I will point out I still haven't done. I'm still going there. I'm still doing them. And then we decided to move to Hoseley. So I took what I dug up off the allotment. So I dug up my gooseberry bush. I cut my rhubarb into 4 and took a quarter of it with me. And whatever I could, I put in pots. We moved house, and then I started playing with the idea of putting in like a garden allotment, slightly bigger than what you'd class a veg patch. And I discovered that the house was sloping downwards, so when it rained, all the water would pool at the house or the bungalow. Wow. So I put the veg patch there, so it rose the ground a little bit, and it meant everything. When the water came down the lawn, it would water my veg bed.
Brilliant.
Good. Forward thinking.
And then I know, trying to protect my landlord's house. And that was the year I discovered that I could sow carrots in the autumn and get them in the winter. I also discovered, to be fair, in Shotley, I discovered this green manure and how important that is when you've got a space as big as mine to put it in the beds so that there's something growing in them. Yes, it looks like weeds, but there's something growing in them which is going to be good for the beds.
Yeah.
That was a big plus sign for me. And then I attempted my first ever no-dig beds at Hoseley, but I used cheap topsoil. And yeah, I've learnt my lesson. I'm not doing that again. It didn't work how I planned, and I did spend a lot of time weeding.
Weeds.
And yeah, I had to get rid of the greenhouse because my other half was helping me with the greenhouse at the time, and he sliced his wrist open on it. So I don't have glass anymore.
Oh.
He cut 2 nerves and 1 tendon.
Did he really?
God.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
He's got a nasty little scar on his wrist. Not like you can see it now. He's got a tattoo over it, but they had to open it up twice on his wrist and once in the middle of his hand, all because of my greenhouse. So that's when I bought myself a flimsy greenhouse, and realised how much I can grow in a flimsy greenhouse. And then I also got at the time 2 polytunnels because the garden was massive. Unfortunately, we had some problems, which meant we had to move again. So I didn't get a full growing season out of that garden. I ended up having to pull it up and set it back to grass before I had a proper growing season. But I've been here nearly 2 years now, and I did proper no dig here. So I put grass down on the grass and put the cardboard down, and I covered it in mushroom compost from a local sourced place. It was 45 quid a tonne delivered. So that's a no-brainer. I've had 2 tonnes put on my veg bed since, because I expanded it a little bit this year. Last year I had the best growing season I have ever had, even when I had an allotment. Everything grew really well. Nothing really went to seed. And considering it wasn't like this year where it's been like this. Yeah. Even in my flimsy greenhouse, I got good peppers, and tomatoes did really well. So yeah, and now this year has been a nightmare.
Been a nightmare for everybody.
Yeah, well, I often talk to my mum because she's got a veg patch in her garden, and she goes, "Oh, I've tried sowing radishes, and the first lot went, and the second lot didn't." I said, "Mum, I can't even get them to germinate this year." I put a whole row of kale in, parsnips. None of them have germinated this year. I've really struggled. But I've even like, if I turn you here, I've got like some baby tomato plants in here, and they've got the smallest tomatoes on them. But I lost a lot of stuff this year due to bad compost.
Did you?
So you were talking about compost earlier. Yeah. I bought some of that stuff from the range that was on offer, 4 bags for a tenner.
Right.
Killed everything I put in it.
Oh, good thing.
So yeah, I had to start again. So these are, I don't even know what they are. They're not labelled. If I label something, I'm feeling unwell.
It's a tomato.
9 times out of
exactly.
10. 9 times
So
out of
that-
10, I don't know what I've grown.
So that compost from the range, so you were potting on into that, and then it just everything died.
Yep. Everything.
So that's got to have weed killer in there, isn't it?
It must do. Last year, everyone raved about it, and they've said how great it was for the value. So I was like, right, okay, this time I'm going to get some, and I bought 8 bags of it for 20 quid, and then I used it, and yeah, I lost everything I potted on into it. And then I had a conversation with my mum and dad because they brought the same stuff, and they said they potted on a tree into it, and the tree just died. So it must have been just a really bad batch this year. I ended up using it on the one bed in the garden that I hadn't covered over winter. So I've got cats. I have nets to stop my cats getting on my vegetables because, let's face it, they'll think it's a litter tray.
Oh, yeah,
and they
definitely.
did. So what I did was I took up what I could and then put cardboard down and put this stuff on top to mulch it down, because then over the summer it's had a chance to sort itself out. And I've been able to put stuff in the ground there now, but I had to be outside, and I had to also keep it locked up in here in the greenhouse, the flimsy greenhouse, because the dog was trying to eat it.
Heck's in it.
The dog was, I don't know, he just
there'll
really
be a
liked
lot
that
of
compost.
there'll be a lot of manure in there if dogs like to eat it, because my dogs eat manure constantly.
He
Means it's
doesn't normally. He doesn't normally. He doesn't even like he doesn't try to eat the mushroom compost, but for some reason that compost he kept trying to eat it, and we kept catching him eating it. So yeah,
Did you complain to the range?
I was so distraught by it, I ranted on Instagram. And the lovely guys at Premier Seeds Direct sent me some new tomato seeds because I lost every single tomato in it. But yeah, they didn't do it. They were tagged in it all and they didn't care.
Didn't come back to you at all.
No. So
that's terrible, isn't it?
I won't be buying that stuff again. The New Horizon stuff from Westlands is reduced at the moment and Home Base. So I've got 4 bags of that. That'll keep me going until the winter.
They do say put like a baby tomato plant or something in it, and before you plant anything else, just for a week or two, to see what happens to it, don't they?
Yeah,
Because you
I
don't know what's in there now, do you?
No, I mean, I've had no issues with the New Horizon stuff this year. That's what I've gone on to, and it seems to be half decent. But I had loads of She Grows Veg tomatoes in them, and I lost the lot.
No.
I was really gutted because, of course, I bought those seeds, and then they're beautiful but not cheap. So
I'm just going under the apple tree because it's raining.
Was that rain?
Thanks, Amy. You've sent it this way.
Well, it seems to have stopped here, but I can't see outside because this is all plastic. But yeah, so this May as well, we brought a cheap. I convinced my other half that I wanted a proper greenhouse, so we brought a lean-to 8 foot by 4 foot. It was cheap for a greenhouse. I think it cost me £200 and something. I think I've seen it on Amazon at the moment for 160. It's really cheap. The only thing I would say to anyone is if you know how to put up a greenhouse, put it up the way you want to put it up, because the instructions were terrible when I fed that back to them. They wanted you to put a lean-to greenhouse together and then stick it to the wall.
Oh,
That's weird.
The whole thing would have bent. So I said they need to change that. They need to be building it from the wall out.
Yeah.
We pretty much did that, but yeah, it was.
I think the lean-to ones are really good, aren't they? They're a bit like mine because you got the wall which sucks up the heat in the daytime and then radiates it out.
Well, you'd say that, but the garage is really cold.
Oh.
I've discovered because there's a little gap underneath the garage door and it whistles through. So, when my other half was parking on the drive once and he reversed up and he started the car up, the old car, and I came in the greenhouse. I was like, "Oh, I'm getting high off the fumes." Literally came out from the front drive under the garage door into the greenhouse. Just got high off the old fumes.
Death by greenhouse.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I had to open doors and windows. But yeah, it's a good greenhouse. It keeps me dry, and it means that I can use the fish tank lights when it comes to January and peppers and stuff. You know, I can have it outside here rather than in the house.
Brilliant.
I have an abundance of fish tank lights, and they're good for growing lights.
Why have you got an abundance of fish tank lights? Have all your fish died?
No, my other half's been in the trade for like 7 years. So over the years, we've collected them and upgraded them, and the upgraded ones mean that I get the ones that are no longer needed.
I see. I get you.
Most there's quite a few fish tank lights out there that are grow lights because they're designed to help the plants grow. So
yeah,
they're great for in here.
Oh, that's a good tip, isn't it? Get on Facebook Marketplace and look for fish tank lights.
Yeah, I mean, that's what's up there. It's a fish tank light. It's literally cable tied to the roof.
Resourceful.
Ropey.
No, it's fine. Just rewind a little bit to your last house. You said you made all your beds and you had to move again and you had to put it all back to grass. That's because you rent. So when you leave, you have to put it back to exactly the same.
It depends on your landlord, I think. So other houses, I've not had to put gardens back to how it was when I started, but unfortunately we had problems with this landlord. So it was better to just do it, and then there was no comeback. So I pulled the frames up and I evened out the compost. Yeah. So it actually made his grass level, actually, in the end. And I just left a ton of topsoil there. When I did leave, I did notice when I mowed it last that it smelt of rocket.
Rocket.
Brilliant.
So there was rocket growing in amongst the grass seed.
That's brilliant. I never thought of that. Just sprinkle some veg seeds all over your lawn every time you mow it.
I did say to someone once, actually, I said, if you don't like someone, the best thing to suggest to them to plant in their garden is 1, mint, and 2, wild garlic, because you can never get rid of the stuff afterwards.
Well, you say that. I've planted wild garlic 2 or 3 times over the last 3 years, and it doesn't come back in my garden.
Does it not?
Nope.
I've tried it in a pot this year, so I've got it in a pot. I brought it from I can't remember what they're called. They're a company on the Isle of Wight.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I've put them in a pot. They've died back. Yeah, they died back over the summer, so I assume they'll be all right for the winter. I expect them to die back, I suppose, this time of year.
I've tried 3 times.
But hopefully, fingers crossed, I'll get it back, because I struggle with actual garlic. Like,
do you?
The bulbs never come to anything. Yeah. And my onions never get massive, to be honest. But mind you, I pull them out quite early because I need the space. Because I've got a small veg patch, but I think it's actually 10 foot by about 15 foot.
That's quite big.
That's quite decent.
Yeah, I didn't realise that, because the greenhouse is 8 foot, and then I've got my coal frame at the edge of the greenhouse. So that's probably another 2 foot, and then that's where the edge of the veg plot is at the end of the garden. So I didn't realise how big it was until I put the greenhouse up, and then realised, oh, actually, it's actually quite bigger than I thought it was.
I wonder why your garlic doesn't work then.
I don't know. I've never really had success with garlic. I've tried directly sowing it, and they rot. And then I tried. I was successful at growing them as plugs, but when I put them in the ground, they go. And it didn't matter whether it was on the allotment, in Shotley, Hoseley, or here. I've always struggled with garlic. Maybe I'm just something else I've got to master, because it wasn't until this year I've always struggled with fruit trees.
It's funny how some people just get for me, Cosmos is a nightmare, but this year I've managed to get some flowering, but usually it's like October before I get my first flower. So it's funny how some people just have one or two things that are, they just cannot grow, no matter how hard they try.
Exactly. My nemesis up until this year has been parsnips. For the last 4 years, I haven't grown a single parsnip. But now, this year, tons of them.
Last year, I put, for the first ever time, parsnip plugs in.
Yeah.
I grew them as plugs, and then I put them in, and I got loads of parsnips last year.
Were they all wonky and knobbly?
All my veggies are, because I think underneath the ground, there's some hardcore. So generally, most of my veg is wonky.
Because I've tried parsnips and carrots from plugs or even little seedlings, and every time they just come out like, the ones that you see with roots and because I think as soon as you disturb that taproot, that's it. That goes everywhere.
I mean,
the other problem.
Sorry.
Yeah, the other problem is if you're sowing carrots and parsnips in plugs and you use compost, that compost would be too rich for the plants anyway, which would also cause forking, even if you weren't disturbing the main taproot. So if you were doing them in plugs, it might be better to do them in soil rather than compost.
Have you seen the one where people roll them up like a roly-poly?
Oh yeah, I have, yeah.
Someone I was speaking to the other day tried that with parsnips, and they got really good plants because they literally unrolled it and slid it into the ground like you would with peas.
Yeah.
What was that again? Sorry, my connection disappeared.
So someone I've seen on, they put I think it was like cardboard or something. They basically made a flat sheet. They put compost in. They put their seeds in there. Then they rolled it up like a roly-poly. And then when everything started to shoot through the top, they unrolled it and slid it into the ground where they made a trench.
Ooh.
And a bit like peas on a guttering.
I've seen the guttering thing. That looks quite good. The guttering thing, where you just make a trench and literally just slide the whole thing off into the ground. That looks quite good. But I've never seen this cardboard roly-poly thing.
I think it was cardboard, or it might have been fabric. But they literally rolled it up and then put it in a jug or something to keep it watered. And then when the stuff started coming out the top of the roly-poly, they unrolled it and just slid it into the ground as it was.
Because they're all grown down vertically.
Yeah.
Oh, I see. I get you.
So it's almost like a root trainer.
Yeah. Oh, I think I know what you mean now. So I've seen it on tissue paper or something.
Yeah.
They roll out tissue and then they roll the tissue back up again, so it's like a cinnamon swirl type thing.
Yeah.
I know what you mean now. Yeah, I've seen it. And the green comes up and then they just I know what you mean. Oh, maybe it's worth trying. I struggled with parsnips up until this year. Absolutely struggled. But you just have to keep them moist. Soon if they dry out, that is it.
They really poor germination rate as well, parsnips.
Terrible. Brand new. You have to get last year's seeds, and that's it. If you don't,
you always buy 3 packets of seeds just in case on parsnips.
I did
keep chucking them up.
I had 3 rows not come up at all, but luckily
I've had none.
with different seeds. I've put I got another 3 or 4 rows dotted around, and they've all come up well. But 3 rows didn't come up at all.
Yeah, no, I've put in so many things this year, and I've got an intruder.
Oh,
He's a big one. Yeah, and lots of things haven't come up this year. Spring onions haven't come up this year. Radishes, I couldn't get any of them to germinate this year. Last year I had hundreds of radishes. I've had them coming out my ears with every meal. Kale's another one that I couldn't get to germinate in the ground this year.
I must admit, I don't direct sow that much anymore. I try and do them in cell trays or and just pop them out the cells or just in a seed tray, because I'm just fed up of putting stuff in the ground and it not germinating. You've wasted 3 or 4 weeks before you decide that it's not popping up, especially parsnip.
Well, I had to.
You've got to wait at least 3 weeks for parsnips to show, 3 or 4. And by the time that's done, you think, oh God, nightmare.
I had to evict everything from the greenhouse, the flimsy greenhouse in the May, because we put this thing up. And everything was down our alleyway just beside our house, and that was full. I mean, I've got those. Do you know those IKEA boot trays that you can get for like £2.50? They're brilliant for water trays.
Yeah.
These.
I haven't seen them, no.
I haven't got one that's not got stuff on it. They're like £2.50 from IKEA, but they're designed for boot trays for shoe racks.
Okay.
But is it Katrina from Homegrown?
Okay. Oh yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah, so a few years ago she shared it, and I was like, "That I am sold." And do you know what? They are the best. They fit in gaps. They're quite flexible, and I've had mine for years, and they're the best water trays I've ever had.
Oh,
And I think
some of them.
You can order them online as well, with cheap delivery. So
I think they fit like 2 pairs of shoes on, don't they? So they're that sort of size.
yeah, well, that's about 1.5 foot, maybe 2 foot, I think. So yeah, I think it's meant to fit. I think 3 or 2 pairs of shoes, depending on how big your feet are.
Yeah, I speak for myself with my size 11s.
Yeah, I've got size 11.
I've got them actually. Hang on, I can twist you around. So, there you go. It fits 3 peppers on there.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, show us your peppers. Show us what you're growing.
They are peppers. I don't know what variety because I didn't label them.
Green ones.
But I've got 7 plants in here. They're only just now starting to really fruit.
Yeah.
So maybe I'll get them for Christmas.
We don't get frost.
Do you know what? I've overwintered them before in the greenhouse.
Yeah, they're perennial, aren't they? If you can overwinter them, they get a good head start next year.
I'm going to get some bubble wrap to put around the greenhouse this year, mainly because it is only plastic.
Yeah.
So
it does help.
Yeah,
I did it last year.
It did. I did it when I had my glass greenhouse, and I grew the best tomatoes in my glass greenhouse because I was able to start them in my glass greenhouse, and they got, and that's when I started growing tomatoes outside. So I would literally grow them, start them about March time rather than February time, and I'd put them outside in a non-heated propagator with a bit of bubble wrap over the top in a greenhouse with bubble wrap around it, and I got such strong plants. And yeah, they always. So I did that this year, but of course some compost killed it all.
I can't believe that. That's horrendous. So the only tomatoes you got is that little tiny one you got next to you?
No, there's 3 in that pot. I use some are those tomato biscuits underneath, so they've grown quite quickly. You know, the ones from Empathy? Hang on. There's all sorts of stuff in here.
I'm learning loads tonight.
Oh, stuff's falling down in the greenhouse.
Our comments aren't working,
Smart
Mark, by the way.
Oh.
What's that fertiliser?
So it's called a tomato starter. It's got 4 months of nutrition in it. They're literally biscuits like this, and you put them underneath the plant in the ground when you plant it up. So if you put it in a pot or anything, you put it in the ground underneath the plant, and then it just feeds the plant for 4 months.
Oh, wow.
Slow release fertiliser.
Yeah, so these only got planted in the pot they're in June, and they're already a metre high.
Wow.
And they were only sort of like this big when I planted them in. And they're all got flowers on them, and they are starting to fruit. They need a water, but everything needs a water in my garden because I forget. Terrible.
What have you got in your actual allotment garden at the minute then, growing now?
So I've just put in some purple sprout and broccoli plugs that I've grown in here. And I've got some corn still going and some runner beans and borlotti beans and one of the stripy beans from She Goes Veg, the old variety. And I've got a couple of pumpkin plants that seem to be doing what they want. Yeah, well, I wanted them to grow lengthways along the middle, and they seem to be growing upwards through the middle.
Typical.
And I've got a lot of beetroot and carrots. So I've got like a little sort of 1 foot square patch where I just filled a gap. I didn't have a slab, so I put a bed in. And my other half is cleaning out one of the fish tanks. So we put a load of substrate on the bottom from the fish tank. And then I put compost on top, or mushroom compost on top. And then I sowed some seeds in there, and then I forgot I'd sown some seeds in there. And I went to go sow some seeds later on in the year because I thought nothing had grown in there, and all of a sudden I saw all these beetroot shoots, and I was like, oh, I grew that in there. I do it all the time. And I've got some spinach growing, but that's probably about it at the moment because I've struggled for so much to get going. And then I do things like this. I forget to water.
Yeah, we all do that.
That was chard.
Yeah.
He still hasn't made it into the green bin yet. It's still sitting there. It's been sat there for 3 weeks. I'm terrible. I am.
You not got a compost bin?
I've got a compost bin, but I only put the stuff from the veg patch in the compost bin. So so I layer it with grass and then cardboard and then stuff in the veg patch, and I try and keep that going. I haven't yet tried to empty it yet, but I've been constantly filling it up now for 2 years.
Wow. Good stuff at the bottom.
It must be good stuff. So one day I'm going to brave it and I'm going to open it. But it's only sort of like one of those cheap black ones you can get. Well, I say cheap.
Like a Dalek one. Yes,
like a Dalek one. Yeah. It was here when I moved in, and they were going to take it away. I said, no, keep it. I'll use it. And then I've got like a 3 foot high mesh fence around the edge to stop Archie getting in, because he will dig up carrots and eat them.
Tell me about it.
Unfortunately. Yeah, well, the dog, we used to go for walks around the fields in Shotley, and would have to stop because the dog liked to gleam. I'd be like, what? He's on the 8 meters of his lead, and he stopped, and I turn around, and he's sitting there with a big smile on his face eating a carrot. He's dug up off the field.
Yeah. I've got 2 Labradors that do that constantly.
He's only little. He's only a Cairn Terrier. That's why it's a 3 foot high fence. He can't get over it.
Oh, I see. I getcha.
And I can get over it, but I have to. I've had many discussions over the last 2 years about the nets on my veg patch, and how people said, they're bad for the birds and stuff like that. I was like, well, I've got to do something, otherwise the cats will get in there. Yeah. And I don't know if you've seen, but the cats still get in there. There's pictures of my cats underneath the nets, enjoying the sun. I've got a video somewhere of one of them under one of those plastic galoshes in the sun, full sun, belly up.
Yeah.
The joys of they think it's all theirs, and whenever I look across the veg patch and they're both outside, they're in the veg patch. One's under a fruit tree and one's sitting on a chair. They're always in it. I think they think it's theirs.
I know, they all do, don't they? I catch my cat sometimes using the veg bed as a litter tray, and I go, get off!
I have a compromise. They can use the flower beds, right? So I know where it's contained, like it's in the flower beds. But yeah, I've had to mesh off this year. I actually bought some new EnviroMesh for the bigger bed because it's 3 pallet collars deep, and I had to get some more net. But yeah, the caterpillars managed to get in there this year, but the cats haven't. It's an and it's EnviroMesh, so I'm not quite sure how that happened.
Yeah. I mean, butterflies.
Oh God!
But my nasturtiums have come back.
Mine are all coming back again.
After being absolutely mullered.
Yeah, I had no nasturtiums. I had a patch. It was absolutely huge, and that just went within a week and a half, 2 weeks. I ate the whole lot, and now I've got a patch of about 18 inch round coming back again.
Yeah, all of mine have come back. I'm really happy. Like I sort of did a reel about the fact that you trust the process. It was always worth having some what I call sacrificial plants.
Yeah.
And they were contained mainly, other than a few stragglers who somehow made it across the lawn, to that other side of the garden. But yeah, they're all coming back. All the nasturtiums are coming back, and all of them are self-sown as well. So they're not even ones I've sown this year.
Yeah, likewise, exactly the same. Mm. Just talking about caterpillars while I was at Charles's, first name terms.
Name drop.
I can do one better. See, I'm on the website.
What do you mean you're on the website?
I'm on the official no dig map.
What's that mean?
So on his website he's got a map of everyone who's got a no dig bed in the world, and I sent over my details and a picture of the veg bed, and I got put on the map.
Oh, wow.
Right, I'm doing that tonight. Right, I got to go. Thanks, Amy. See ya.
And that's the end of the episode.
He was really I was chatting to him on Instagram, and he was really supportive about it, and he told me what they needed, and then I emailed I think it was his PR lady, and sent him pictures, and yeah, I'm officially on the map.
Oh, I'm going to have a look at that. I will have a look. Yeah. But no, so he was talking about cabbage whites.
Yeah.
So many people said, how the hell are all your brassicas perfect? And they were all perfect. Absolutely beautiful. No nets, no anything. And he sprays them, not with a insecticide. I can't remember what it's called. Sprays them every 18 to 20 days with this natural stuff, and they just don't like it, so they stay away from it. Oh, I can't remember what it was. I'll find out. But that's it. Next year, whatever it is, I'm having it, because again, every single brassica of mine is gone.
Yeah, I've lost my Brussels sprouts this year.
All gone completely, and that's 2 years on the trot now. I'm just fed up with it. But I don't want to put a big net. I know it shouldn't be all about want it to look nice, but I want it to look nice, if you know what I mean. And I think if I start putting big old nets on it, it just changes the whole thing of it. So I agree. Definitely.
I didn't have
grazers.
Grazers. I don't know.
I didn't have nets in the allotment, but the girls had everywhere to go. So, and they used to spend a lot of time rat catching on the allotments. So they were here, there, and everywhere. One of my neighbours said to me once, she said, I've just seen Yasmin sitting in with the ducks. I was like, what do you mean sitting in with the ducks? And my cat was chilling with the ducks. We have a strange household.
Wow.
But yeah, they used to catch all the rats, so I never really had any problems. But here they seem to think my veg beds are theirs.
Did someone mention something about it, Mark? Did you say grazers? The spray?
Yeah, somebody said, is it called grazers? I'm not sure.
I can't remember what it was. But you have to spray it out between 2 different dates. You have to spray it out between 18 and 20 days. And not even a nibble. Not a single nibble on anything. It just looked absolutely beautiful.
There is a organic stuff called grazers. I think I got a bottle of it in the garage from when I had an allotment. It's possibly quite out of date. I think I got it from one of those. Do you remember where Sutton's used to do those mystery boxes?
No.
They used to do this mystery box where you'd pay like 40 quid and you get like 100 quid's worth of stuff in this mystery box and you don't know what you're going to get.
Oh, right.
And I got some grazers in there for whitefly and caterpillars, some tins. I think this scoop came from in there.
Oh, wow.
There was all this random stuff. I think it was just sort of like a warehouse clear out mystery box.
Yeah, I definitely have to find out. I think there's definitely something called grazers which you can put on plants that deer don't like. I've heard that.
Yeah.
So it might be
They said
different.
that. Yeah, there's a deer one, and apparently there's an aphid one as well. So there's a one that
It is a brand.
cabbage white.
Yeah, it is a brand.
Charles said the actual, the name for it, and I didn't have time to write it down, so I'll have to find out what
You'll
it
have
is.
to message him.
Definitely.
He'll respond.
I have been messaging him since.
Your best mate.
You're like that, man.
I did try and get some money together to go to when he came to I, or was it? Yeah, he came to I to do a talk.
Right.
Near this, but I ended up with something else on, so I couldn't go.
Yeah, it's brilliant. I absolutely loved that day. Loved it. But that wasn't a normal day. I think these normal days is just him all day. Teresa bought it for my birthday, and she said, "Oh, you can have the normal day, or you can have the day with Gaz Oakley." So I said, "Oh no, I'll have that as well because I want to, like you said, Mark, work out, what to do with 15 tons of beetroot and tomatoes."
I've discovered raw beetroot is really nice.
I really like raw beetroot as well. I have it in salads all the time.
Yeah.
I have it grated.
Yeah.
Yeah. I have it grated.
Something I've discovered this year, raw beetroot is a game changer in salad.
Yeah. Yeah, I grate it. But I like, roast it and pickle it. You got to
You ever tried it with making it with hummus?
Oh no. Yeah.
So
I've seen it.
This is a Slimming World recipe. You literally get a tin of chickpeas, and you roast some beetroot, and you put some mint in it, fresh mint. You blend it all together, and it's really nice.
Oh, wow.
I bet it is. Yeah.
Sounds nice.
It's a really nice thing, especially for a barbecue or something. It's really, really nice.
We got an air fryer for our birthday, so we're looking out for recipes for air fryer stuff because apparently you can do everything in an air fryer.
You can.
Oh, I love my air fryer.
Our
Yes, the new
oven only goes on
microwave
for pizzas.
microwave of the 90s.
Probably a bit healthier rather than rain.
Has your one got the dehydrate mode?
I don't think so.
Mine's got. You can press dehydrator, so it goes right down to about 40 degrees for hours.
You can do tomatoes in it.
Exactly. I did some last year. I got something on the grid, but yeah, that is really good. Love my air fryer.
I did some jack of potatoes in it yesterday, my air fryer.
Did you? I've never done.
They take about the same amount of time, but of course the air fryer uses less energy. So, yeah, I did jack of potatoes in the air fryer yesterday, and the day before I did a whole roast chicken. So,
Wow.
Brilliant. I've never done a roast chicken.
Oven only literally goes on now for pizzas because the pizza doesn't fit in there.
Cut it up.
Cut it up first.
put the slices in one at a time.
Oh, that would be painful.
I tell you what I'm looking for at the minute, and I'm saving lots from Instagram, is courgette recipes. Because everybody in my household hates courgettes, apart from me. I'd love them, absolutely love them. But whenever I say, "Oh, we've got courgettes," of course, I've got loads. I mean, have you got one now, Mark? Did I see the other day?
About this big.
I took one with me to Slimming World today for the Slimmer of the Week basket, and it no word of lie, it was this big. We were having a debate whether it was a marrow.
I can't even see your hands, Amy. You have to do it up
It was
and down.
It was a good like this big.
Wow.
A good
Yeah, that's a
fat
marrow.
round.
That's got to be a marrow, isn't it? When does a courgette become a marrow? Come on.
Exactly, that's what we were discussing. But yeah, we went in the Slimmer of the Week basket today.
Yeah, definitely. But I love them. I love courgettes, and the kids hate them. But I suppose if you don't do something fancy with them, they are just a bit plain and boring and soggy, aren't they?
If you grate them and squeeze the juice out of them a little bit, you can mix them in with spag bol at the same time you're cooking the meat, and it'll taste like the meat.
Ooh.
I haven't
We
Bulk up a
tend
little
to
bit.
done that.
split ours quite often to put them in, like when you're making spag bol or chili or anything like that. We just blitz it with all the other vegetables because then George doesn't know it's in there.
Oh, they've still got the
Still got all
vitamins
the
in there.
yeah.
I saw someone the other day do. I'm going to try this one. They roasted loads down and then blitzed it, so it is like liquid.
Yeah.
And then they just mixed it with flour and made courgette gnocchi. Oh, it looked amazing.
So that was well
Yeah,
tasty.
yeah, it
I've
looked
had
amazing. And
courgette
then
cake.
they made a nice sauce to go with it. It looked fantastic. Courgette
Yeah,
cake. I bet that's nice and
courgette
moist.
cake. It was heavy, believe it or not. I was quite surprised. For a courgette, it was quite a heavy cake.
Nice.
Well, it would be if it was that big. Yeah, so that's what I'm trolling on at the minute is courgette recipes.
Bet there's loads.
Oh, there is. And as soon as you start liking one or two, they start pinging up from all over the place.
Yeah, the
Don't they just?
algorithm feeds
Yeah.
you.
Yeah, it does. It really does. Oh, bloody hell, brilliant. Right, Amy.
So what's one before you go? What's the weirdest thing that you've grown in the garden this year, or the veg patch, or anything?
This year.
The weirdest thing.
Snake bean?
Oh,
Not that I've actually.
no, yeah.
Grown that.
I've grown a snake bean plant, but it's still only about 6 inches. So my sword beans are not really doing a great deal. They're just getting no bigger than runner beans. I thought they were going to be massive.
I've still only got one bean on it.
I've got loads. I picked loads for tonight's tea, but it's still no different than runner beans.
You sure? Get the wrong...
Yeah, because they were white. The seeds were white,
Yeah,
weren't
they
they?
were different, weren't they?
Yeah, definitely. What else have I got in there? A bit weird. My hyacinth beans. I can't wait for them. They're now flowering really well, so they're going to be.
Oh, I've
soon,
got some of
hopefully.
them.
Yeah, she grows veg ones. Hopefully, they're going to be lovely. I don't really know. Knobbly. I've got lots of knobbly pumpkins, squashes.
Yeah.
Massive, absolutely huge, bigger than Mark's head. But they're all. But they're all
Is that with
crusty.
or without a hat?
Depends what hat he's wearing. What about you? What have you grown, which is a bit weird?
So I like to reuse compost in the garden, and I had an elephant ear plant that nearly died. I actually spoke to Mark about it to get some tips, and I managed to save it and reuse the compost. And in amongst the compost, I've grown 4 of them outside. There's a house plant.
Yeah.
And it's come from the root.
Outside.
Honestly, it's the strangest thing that's come out. It's in amongst my Jurassic hosta. I've reused the compost. I thought,
still alive.
yeah, the root was still alive, and I've grown 4 of these. I've got another one at the back here, and one's in my fish tank upstairs in my office, and I've got another one that's still growing outside. I just haven't taken it up yet and put it in a pot. I was like, I nearly killed that plant. It's now massive. It's back to health and it's happy. But yeah, I've for a plant I nearly lost this year, I've now got 5 of them.
Brilliant.
Lect.
Bonus.
Tried to
We
throw
haven't-
them away. and they
We
grow
haven't actually spoke about your garden. Have you got a ornamentals?
So my garden, a lot of my garden is pots. So I put in my garden, in my pot, I put what I class as my expensive plants. So if I was to move, I would always take them with me, sort of thing. So all of my Farmer Gracie dahlias have gone in pots this year, and I've got 4 standard hostas, which is from one hosta. I separated it this year.
Oh wow!
And then I've got Jurassic hosta, which is starting to get big now, all of a sudden. And I've got a white feather hosta that, again, I ordered from Farmer Gracie. But I've also got 5 fruit trees in pots.
What ones are they?
So I've got 2 apple, a pear, a plum, and a cherry.
Oh, wow.
Brilliant. Are they fruited?
So not this year. So Thompson and Morgan, I've signed up to their gardening club, and they send me lots of emails, and I could really spend a fortune with them. And I class them as like a local company because they're in Ipswich,
Right.
so they're not far down the road. And yeah, they had this offer that they sent to me, and it was 5 fruit trees for 30 quid. So I jumped on that, put them in some big 55 centimetre black pots from B&M. I already had 3, I just had to get 2 more.
Yeah.
And I've put them in, and I've got healthy trees. I've had to, the plum tree got so wide, I've had to start training it, so it's now round like a bamboo hoopy thing.
Oh yeah.
Because it got over 2 meters wide
Oh dear.
in the pot, and so I had to do something to try and tidy it up a bit so that it would still grow, but it wasn't so wide, because it was literally taken over. It was wider than the umbrella on the patio. But I have sort of like cannas. I've got a Cleopatra and a Black Tropicana in pots. They've been in their pots for about 6 years. And I've separated them twice. I just take them out, cut them up, put them back in. And then this year there's been a lot of random bedding plants gone in holes and stuff. And my agapanthus are all in pots as well. But the garden itself has blue geraniums that come up every year, so they were already in the ground, and some pink Japanese anemones.
Oh, wow.
So they come up every year.
Nice.
And I've got a Hot Lips Sylvia, which I cut back to about 6 inches every spring. The thing comes back to over 1 metre wide, a metre high every year. So I just cut that back to stop it from going woody. The one thing that's in the ground this year that I'm going to make sure I dig up is my Suffolk Punch Dahlia, because I didn't realise that you really can't get hold of them much anymore.
Right.
So that I will dig up. But I've got loads of dahlias in the ground in that that little corner, which is another bit that's sectioned off because I actually dug up all my tulips this year. I love him, really. But yeah, most of my beds are sort of like easy scatter seed things that I can just forget about, or bedding plants like nasturtiums. They do what they want. And some of the plants I've got from the Rose Press Garden subscription has gone in the ground because they just add a bit of different colour. And then in the front garden, I've got loads of, those flower pots that cut flowers come in the supermarket.
Yeah.
The black bucket things.
Yeah.
Well, they throw them out. Supermarkets will throw them out. So over the years, I've collected a few of them, to say the least. And usually my tomatoes go in them. But this year, because I didn't have any tomatoes, I didn't put them in there. So I've put, I think, about 15 or 20 out the front, and I've just put loads of random bedding plants in. And I did sort of like a no-dig kind of thing to it. So I put grass in the bottom, then I put cardboard, and then I put compost to kind of save on compost because I didn't have much. And I've got loads of like petunias and calendulas and sweet peas and stuff growing in the front garden, and gardenias, and so it's nice and flowers. To be honest, I thought the monk jacks were going to get them, but they haven't been up to the house. So
bloody things.
Don't.
Good job.
We live in the centre of town, so Halesworth is an odd shape. It's sort of like an H shape, and we live literally in the town. 2-minute walk to the centre of town, not even that. And you can hear in the field all night the red deer barking. We've also got 3 owls who live around the close, and they all talk to each other through the trees. And they're really loud. Considering we live in the centre of town.
Yeah. You know your Suffolk punch you was just saying about?
Yeah.
Why don't you take some cuttings off it next year then?
I'm going to. I didn't think about it this year. I just stuck it in the ground. But I've had the tubular now for 2 years, because when I was volunteering there at the Suffolk Heritage Garden, when I moved, they gave it to me as a present. So, and Sarah Cook, who she used to be or is the head gardener at Benton End in Hadley. She looks after all the irises. She helped design the garden, and they're from her. But there's one garden centre I found in the UK that still sells them. That's it. One garden centre, and they were down in St Albans.
You need to take some cuttings.
I mean, it produces big old vivid purple heads, and I can never take good pictures of it because you can't capture how purpley pink it is.
No.
And it's got dark leaves, and my inner goth appeals to it. Like my inner emo loves it because it reminds me of the pink checkered tie I used to wear when I was like a teenager. But yeah, it's definitely one that I'm going to dig up because it's actually in the ground this year because I needed the pots for the Farmer Grace dahlias.
Yeah.
Get it up, and then go on to Kim's grid, and she's got loads and loads of videos of how to take cuttings of dahlias. Brilliant.
Yes, I was talking to Kim about it.
She takes 20 off one tuber. Ridiculous. But then she throws the tuber away. She only grows cuttings every year. She takes the cuttings off and throws the tuber because the cuttings are always better than the tuber.
The lady you were talking to a couple of weeks ago, I've said when it comes up next year, she's more than welcome because she doesn't actually live far from me.
Joe, that's Joe. Blue Norfolk. Blue Norfolk.
So I'm only 10 miles from the border. So yeah, I've said she could come over and take some cuttings if she wants to next year.
And then Jamie can catch one off her.
Yes. You got it. She's not here. She's gone away again. She hasn't seen her tonight.
Yeah, she
drove
to
Wisley. She went to RHS Wisley in Surrey.
She got to Wisley, is she? Oh.
That's it. Yeah. She said she was driving 3 to 4 hours, and I went, well, if you're north, you're going to the peaks. If you're south, you're going to about Hampshire.
I did see her story
before.
She'd done 4 hours.
Yeah, but that's where she ended up. Sorry.
Lucky girl. Lucky. Right, Mark's got some quick fire round questions for you.
I've got a special hat, especially as well. Look, so you can still see me.
My God.
So, lightning round. Tea or coffee?
Coffee.
Flowers or edibles?
Edibles.
It's got to be. Beach or forest?
Forest.
Go to emoji in a text message.
Laughing crying face.
If you could have one snack for the rest of your life, what would it be?
You what? No, honestly, it'd be Baby Bell.
Baby. Oh,
yeah.
Classic.
Love a good Baby Bell.
Now, this one could be interesting because we know you've got one of each. Dog or cats?
I'm going to say I'm going to be controversial and say fish because I got them too.
Breaking the law. Finish the sentence. My perfect day would be.
My perfect day would be sat in the garden with a gin, just looking at my plants.
Wicked.
Sowing seeds or potting on?
Sowing seeds.
All over the floor of the greenhouse.
I made that mistake once. Although I will say, when I saved the seeds for the foxgloves, I stood them upright, and that was the biggest mistake I did. Because I'm sure they're in amongst the padding on the floor in the greenhouse.
You'll never get rid of them.
No.
I know.
Spring or summer?
Spring at a push. I like autumn.
It's spring or summer. You can only choose those two.
I'll go with spring then.
Unlimited compost or unlimited seeds?
Unlimited compost.
Ooh. I thought most people would go seed on that one.
You can save your seeds.
That's true. Yeah, if you've got compost is probably
Compost
more expensive.
is more expensive, isn't it?
Yeah.
And it's the one thing I run out the most of.
Yeah, the one thing we all run out of.
Mm.
And
Yes.
finally, today's favourite plant.
Today's favourite plant.
Oh, dear.
It's got to be because she's still in bloom. My stuff at Punch Dahlia.
Oh.
Yeah, it's got to be.
It's got to be.
Excellent.
What on earth do you look like?
It's the lightning
Do you know what?
round hat.
Can't see him. On my
can't see
screen,
him?
it's just on my screen, it's just a black box.
Oh, no, she's got a pen.
Has that been like that all the way through?
Yeah, I just thought he didn't want to see me.
Oh dear. He's got a hat on now, Amy, with lots of lights around it. I'll take a picture. I'll take a screenshot now.
You'll be able to see it on the watch again anyway.
You've got to watch an hour and a half to get to it, though. Oh dear, you should have said.
Yeah, but it could be my phone because I'm having to use my old phone because my new phone doesn't have a great camera on it. So it might be my phone.
Oh, right, okay. Ben used to have that problem every week near enough, didn't he?
Just didn't want to see either of us.
Yeah.
I mean,
brilliant. Thank you so much.
I have made... That's all right. No problem at all. Thank you for having me.
On. Keep going. If you were talking, keep going.
No, I was going to say I made sure there was Wi-Fi out here so that when I do things in the greenhouse, like videos and stuff, I can do it and send it straight on.
Oh, perfect. You sound a bit like me. I've got Wi-Fi boosters outside. Bit of a geek.
Somebody appreciates the hat in the comments anyway.
Oh, do they?
Just join the live the hat.
I don't know. I'm quite geeky as well. I've got a Super Mario scarf. It's pixelated Mario and it's an infinity scarf. So where you don't realise it's pixelated Mario until you look at it properly. You just think it looks like flowers, but it's not as pixelated Mario.
Wow. Wow, nice. Right. Okay, mate. Thanks ever so much.
Thanks, Amy.
Really,
No worries.
really
Thank
good.
you for having me.
No problem. See you later. Speak soon.
Bye.
Bye. She couldn't see you for the whole show.
Typical. fancy house, and yeah, nobody can see you.
Oh,
I
dear.
can't bend down though because the battery pack falls off now.
And I haven't had comments since Julia waved, which was about 10 minutes in, I think. So
It's like a typical. Oh, she can see now. Look, there you go. There's the hat, Amy.
oh yeah, she's in.
Me looking like a Wally.
I wonder why my comments don't work. It's really annoying.
Are you sure they don't work? If you put your finger down at the bottom, does it not open them up?
It opens them up, but the last one I can see is Julia Parker.
Oh, right. Weird.
I can scroll right back from where I joined and then go right down to the bottom, and all it is Julia. Let me try and comment and see if it works.
Might kick it back into action. Ugh. Don't bend my head down.
Now you comment, Mark, see if it works. Somebody comment, see if I can see it.
Or can you see your own comment?
See my own.
I've just commented it'll probably take a second or two to come up. Amy's put downward thumbs down. Somebody said hi.
No, see, nothing.
No. Dodgy. At least you can see me. That's the most important thing, and you could see our guest, and our guest could see you.
Exactly.
Not
That's the
seeing
thing.
the comments is
At least, just imagine if she couldn't see both of us and didn't say nothing all the way through. Oh dear. Oh dear. Right. Another fantastic episode. That was really interesting.
Yeah, nice. Somebody different.
Yeah, really good. Really
Somebody
good.
we've met as well in person, so we
have.
know
That's nice.
faces.
Yeah, it's really nice when that happens. Right, I've got to go back to work tomorrow.
Me too.
Only till Friday, and then guess what I'm doing Friday? Let's have a guess. I've got to go to London for a certain thing on Friday.
Court appearance. Over your parking ticket.
Over the motorhome £1,000 ticket.
And what happens if you lose?
It goes to £3,000.
Are you going to lose?
I don't know. But if I lose, I'm going to offer them £5 a week for the rest of my life or something. That's it. That's what I'm going to do.
Fair enough.
It's not court. It's a
Like a small claims
appeal jury thing. Yeah. So that's Friday. So I've got.
Why they even bother? Like,
I know it's ridiculous.
So annoying.
It's so they've sent me a pile of paperwork an inch thick, nearly, of all
It's just
evidence.
trying to scare you off, isn't it?
It's just absolutely ridiculous. I'm going to go in there in front of these people and just spurt off this whole thing about, sorry, Your Honour, it was an accident. We wouldn't mean to. We done this. We done that. La 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 la. And they'll just go, tough shit.
Yeah.
Pay the money. Gutted. And then I'm just going to say, because I have looked into it, that they can't send bailiffs round or anything like that. They're not allowed to do that, so they'll have to take whatever I offer if I lose. So it will be.
Why make you go all the way to London as well? Why couldn't it be on Zoom or something?
I know, just ridiculous.
Don't drive the motorhome into London.
I'm going to drive it into the court. There you go. There's your £1,000.
Send it to them in pennies.
Yeah. Every month I'm going to go and take a bag of pennies up there, count them. See how peed off to get with it then. Well, so yeah, that's my Friday. But then we have got we're going to see Warhorse on Friday night. So it worked out quite well because we were in London anyway.
Well, that'll be good then.
So we'll have a whole day in London. Yeah, it's supposed to be fantastic. I know a few people have seen it, so we're going to see that. So I've got a 2-day week this week. Woo, lovely.
You sound like Chris.
He always has a 2-day week, doesn't he?
I think next week he's only there for 2 days because it's Glee, isn't it?
It is
I think
clear, yeah.
Glee for 3 days. So,
Yeah. Right, I'm going to go and have a tea. Haven't eaten yet.
Okay. See you next week, everyone.
See you, mate. Thanks ever so much, everybody. See you later. Bye.
Thank you for listening to Through the Garden Gate.